Well, it's 10 o'clock. I'm under the impression that Chairman Thorwald is not on the line.
I am not seeing him.
I'll try and give him a call.
Yeah, let me. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'll give you all the time you need. Bye. So I just talked to the chairman. He's having computer difficulties, but he'll be here.
Oh, okay. Well, we are recording and we are streaming just to let folks know. Thank you. Do we have all the other commissioners? So when he gets here, we can do quorum. Yes, Angela? Okay, thank you. There he is. Okay. You are muted, Frank.
Let me
There you go. Thank you.
change the background here. I'm having trouble getting in this morning. I apologize.
No problem.
It seems like I don't know what went wrong, but at any rate,
You're here now, so thank you.
here we go.
We are recording and we are streaming, Frank, so whenever you're ready.
We're all ready. Good, good. It
Yep.
is 10:03 a.m. on Friday, November 21st, 2025, and this meeting of the Arizona Oil and Gas Conservation Commission has come to order. Let us establish a quorum. Commissioner Nations, are you here?
Am I? Maybe I'm here.
No,
Maybe
there,
I'm.
I hear you, Commissioner Nations.
I'll just
Commi-
need to get closer. Okay.
Commissioner Fire Robin, are you here?
Here.
Commissioner Conway, are you here?
Here.
Commissioner Ballard, are you here?
Here.
Do we have somebody from the AG's office?
Yes, Shelley Cutts from the AG's office present on the call. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have somebody from the Land Department?
I'm David Haig with the Arizona State Land Department.
Thank you, David. We have a quorum. Let us move on to the second agenda item, Administrator's Update. Administrator Roberts, would you proceed?
Yes, thank you, Chairman Thorwald. We have the proposed meeting dates, commissioners, and there is one change. The February 13th, 2026, we would like to change to February 9th. And if the commissioners agree, all the rest of the dates is what we're proposing for 2026 meeting dates.
Commissioners, do those dates work for you?
They work for me.
Give everybody a moment to take a look.
This is Mike Conway. They work for me as well.
Okay.
This is Wendy Flood. I'd like the commissioners to note that February 9th date change is a Monday morning instead of a Friday. It's the same week, just a different day.
Give everybody another moment.
They work for me as far as I can tell.
Good. Mr. Firerobin, do they work for you?
As best I can tell.
Okay. We have a motion to accept the schedule?
I also move this is Commissioner Nations.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. We have our dates scheduled. Administrator Roberts, do you want to move on to B, Desert Mountain Energy?
Yes, sir. Thank you. We have items A through F, which are submittals from Desert Mountain Energy. As you know, we've been working to try to get the administrative record up to date. So we've been working with Desert Mountain Energy to get our forms and required completion reports up to date. I will have an exception on number 1266, which is item F, but I'll go over that when we get to it. So I'd like to go through these one by one, and Robert Rolfing has provided a beneficial use statement in compliance with the rules for 12-7-125. So I find the items to be complete for submittal to provide a request for a TA, and I'll go through them one by one. So item A, 1255, they provided a request for temporary abandonment on 11/3, and they also submitted missing completion reports on Form 4. So the request is for 5 years, and Desert Mountain Energy has provided the required information.
Do we have somebody from Desert Mountain Energy here?
We do. Robert Rolfing, Commissioner.
Robert, would you like to say anything?
Yes, sir. As we have previously asked on this, and per my letter to the commissioners there, we continue to work with DEQ to come up with a way to do small hydraulic stimulation. So we're making good progress with there and to address their concerns that they had put. So I'm pleased with how we have proceeded with that. As far as being a beneficial use, helium is still a product that is deeply required. It has a meaningful amount of dollars behind it. Additionally, we had found in 3 of the wells some helium-3. Currently, the United States government is the sole provider of helium-3. And it all comes from the reprocessing of our thermonuclear hydrogen weapons, the tritium at the Savannah River plutonium processing facility in Georgia. So and it has a very high value. And our discussions with the federal government, both what is now the DOW and DOE, they're interested in what we are doing on that. And we are working on communications with them for how they would like to have it handled. Basically, to extract it separately requires a lot more than what would normally be in the field, and they have expressed the interest. So all we would have to do is send them a helium-based gas that is less than 2% nitrogen, and they would do the extraction of it, and we would be paid. So it has a meaningful dollars and cents to it. As far as the one well we have over by Meteor Crater, as when we get to it there, we have, in dealing with our City of Flagstaff issues, the Arizona State Supreme Court has ruled in our favor and sent it back to the Court of Appeals, which then sent it back to the Coconino County Superior Court. And we're waiting for that. And that's just hurry up and wait with that on the timing. So that's where we're at on all of those issues. All of the wells that we have completed thus far, we have gone the extra mile, we feel, and setting additional casing to have multiple redundant strings of casing in place and cemented in place to not only just isolate individual aquifers, but to isolate off aquifers where there may be brackish water from those that were cleaner. So we feel we have gone above and beyond to ensure the integrity of the aquifers for future generations.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions?
Mr. Nations here. Is this, now you mentioned this is a request for a 5-year temporary extension. Does that apply to all of the wells on that you listed here?
Yes, sir, Commissioner Nations.
Yeah, that seemed a little unusual, but I think your explanation justifies that. There's a lot of manipulation going on apparently with this helium-3. And so I would move that we approve the 5-year extension on all of them, since they're all very similar.
This is Commissioner Ballard. I do have a few questions about one or two of these before we move to accept the 5-year proposal. Basically, I guess the first one is on 26-1, the Meteor Crater well. Is Desert Mountain Energy under any kind of like cease and desist order at this time? Is it even possible for you to continue operations right now?
No, not at the moment.
Yeah.
Originally on one, we did have on just the one well.
Yes.
And that was lifted with the last tidbit here. So, but as we had been advised by council, not to go out and do any perforations or do anything on the well until everything was completed. So as it's sitting there right now, it has a plug on, everything's screwed down, but there are no perforations in the well. So
yeah, I can see that from your paperwork. Well, that sounds like it's a serious delay. I don't know about all the wells, but I would certainly recommend to the fellow commissioners that this well be given 5 years. I hope that's enough time.
Commissioners, this is Wendy Flood. We were planning on going through each one individually.
Mr. Chairman, should we vote on each one individually?
Why don't we, commissioners, what would you like to do? Would you like to go through each one of them individually or do them all together?
Well, I would repeat my original motion.
Okay.
That we approve all 5 of them, considering that the requirements for actual processing of the helium-3.
Administrator Roberts, do you want to go through the other wells before we, I request a second and just.
Sure. Sure. I find we can go through 1267 next real quick. I find nothing out of ordinary with that one, and the request came in on 11/3, and they did provide a well completion report to complete the administrative record. So I find that the well record has everything required at this point. So that's 1267. 1268, same thing. They provided a request for TA on 11/3 and submitted the missing completion report form for. And I find that the administrative record for that well to be complete for 1268. 1269, again, provided a request for TA on 11.3 and submitted the missing completion report. And I find that the administrative record for that well now to be complete for 1269. 1273, they provided a request for TA on 11.3 and submitted the missing completion report. And I find the administrative record for 1273 to be complete. 1266 is where I identified that there seems to be a incorrect spud date. And so I am going to ask that either the commissioners decide how they want to handle that temporary abandonment request, because there is an incorrect information on the well completion report.
And that's 1268?
1266.
1266.
So it looks like the spud date is incorrect, and I don't know if we want to, if there's a way to approve it with the incorrect date and wait for a revision from DME. But if you look at the spud date, it has a date of 2022.
Vice Chair Nations, do you want to amend your motion to exclude 1266?
Yeah, I have one more question too. Like, maybe I just missed it, but I didn't see 1273 in the materials that were given, that were provided to us. That I don't know why I couldn't identify. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just skipped over it in the volume of all this stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes, I would amend my motion to acknowledge that and that erroneous spud date on 1266.
Do we have a second?
Hi, Robbins, second.
Any further discussion before we vote? No. Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Now we have F 1266. How do we want to deal with that? Where the spud date is incorrect.
This is Commissioner Ballard. I would think that if give us the verbally correct it and we go ahead and act on it as to be corrected before it goes into the files.
Okay.
Chairman Thornwell,
Yes. Go
Robert
ahead,
Rolfing.
Go ahead, Mr. Ruffin.
I will be happy to correct that, amend that, and get that off immediately post haste so that the records are correct.
Would we want to approve it pending his changes?
This is Commissioner Ballard again. I think we should.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that looks to me like an administrative function.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve pending his receipt of his update?
This is Mike Conway, so moved.
Do we have a second?
Hi, Robbins, second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
This is
Go ahead.
yeah. No, I voted aye, but this is Commissioner Nations. I just wanted to commend the operators on that well. I think that's really exciting what they're doing.
We have a vote to accept that, and so that is approved, pending the receipt of the update. Administrator Roberts, do you want to move on to C?
Yes. Thank you, Chairman Thorwald. So the next items on the agenda are also Desert Mountain Energy, and this is AZOGCC 1250. based on the information we have in the file, it looks like there was an assumed temporary abandonment status from 2021, which was extended for 180 days. We don't have a formal commission approval that we can find. So Desert Mountain Energy submitted the required information to request temporary abandonment for up to 5 years for well AZOGCC 1250.
Commissioners,
Commissioner Fire Robin, a question. So are you saying that we're missing a date that would begin the 5-year period? Or do we just kind of 5 years from today, or how do we handle that?
I guess the way that I'm seeing it is that we're starting from today's date and 5 years. But I look to you to see how you want to resolve this.
This is Commissioner Ballard. Yeah, I think we are determining the period to be granted from today forward, essentially. And I will say these wells go back pretty far. Not having had any official action on temporary abandonment before. They've been sitting there for a long time. I'm thinking 5 years might be a little too much time to get on something on these wells.
what do you want to do?
I'd say 2 years.
From today?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Everybody else have a number in mind? I'm just saying, it's almost 5 years now.
Commissioners, what are your thoughts on this?
This is Commissioner Nations on that point. I presume the inspections, required inspections would identify any deterioration of the wellbore conditions that would need to be concerned about now.
Chairman Thornwald, may I make a comment?
Yes.
To address Commissioner Nations and the other commissioners' concerns about it, these wells were completed in the same manner with all the additional casings put in place and cemented back to the surface. So everything is isolated. The way I have done every well in Arizona is to do it that way to protect everything. And the backside, both wells have packers and tubing in them, and it's still zero on the backside, and pressure is only on the tubing, which is the way it should be.
Well, this is Commissioner Ballard. I take those points very well. I agree from information you provided to us. There's no need to impose any kind of testing. I'm just feeling that we should get moving on these. If there's a real negative situation which prevents you from doing anything on these in the next couple of years, come back to us in 2 years. We can always extend it again.
Commissioners, what are your thoughts? The other commissioners.
This is Mike Conway. It certainly seems that 2 years should be sufficient amount of time.
Commissioner Nations.
Yes, I agree with that. It should be 2 years.
Commissioner Fire Robin, your thoughts?
I'll go with 2, thank you.
Okay, then do I have a motion?
Well, this is Commissioner Ballard. I guess I started, so I guess I will move that these 2 wells be granted temporary abandonment for a 2-year period.
We have a second.
This is Mike Conway. I second that.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Do we have any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. You have TA for 2 years.
Thank you, commissioners.
Moving on to the next one, D was holding place here. Do we have anybody from Altura?
Yes, Ashley Lastinger, Altura Energy.
Would you like to address us with regard to the well status?
What about 1251?
1251 was part of the two wells, I
Oh,
believe that you just,
I missed that. Okay, thank
Yep.
you.
I didn't get to talk about it, but you approved the 1250 and 1251.
Yeah.
Yes, I'd be happy to talk about the well statuses. So we have started the workovers on the 22-8 for the Pinta South 22-8 and the Pinta South 23-15. Both of those wells have been successfully cleaned out, acid stimulated, and returned back to production. And we will continue to work on the following wells that we took over from Pinta South Operating Company as we go into 2026.
Administrator Roberts, I should have asked you to give us your thoughts on it first, but could you address D as well?
From Altura?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't have any additional information to add other than what Ashley provided.
What do we need to do with respect to D?
With respect to D, nothing.
Yeah.
It was just to provide the information and an update.
Okay. Thank you, Ashley. Anything
Thank you
else
for
you
your
wish to
time.
say before we move on?
No, appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions, commissioners? Hearing none, let us move on to E, Administrator Roberts.
Thank you, Commissioner Thorwald. I do not have any rules or legislative timeframe updates at this time.
Okay, nor do I. Moving on to F.
Thank you. I do not have any oil and gas permitting budget updates at this time, sir.
Okay, then we'll move on to item 3 on the agenda, Orphan Well Program update.
Yes, good morning, Chairman Thorwald and Commissioners. This is Tina LePage with ADEQ. A quick update on the pre-approved wells. So of the original 34 that were pre-approved, even though we do still have to submit the Form 910s or the Form 9s, of those 34, 7 have been plugged. And we've also got 2 on O'Neill property. One was previously plugged, and also one was also, we were unable to find it. We also have one of the wells, it's our uranium exploration well that we determined that is not part of the orphaned oil and gas program. So we currently have 44 wells that have been plugged and abandoned. We're hoping to have another one completed probably within the next few days. We also have submitted for the Department of Interior the extension on the initial grant. We're hoping to get at least 6 months to a year extension on that. That was submitted to the Department of Interior. They were on government shutdown, but it was submitted on November 7th. So we are still waiting to hear back from them to see if we will have additional time on the initial grant, which ends on December 31st of this year. Do we have any questions?
Commissioners, do you have any questions for Tina LePage?
This is Mike Conway.
Go ahead, Mike.
Tina, how many wells remain to be shuttered at this point?
Right now we have roughly about 40.
This Commissioner Nations question. Did we deal with C? The two wells under C, item C?
Yes,
not yet.
Did.
Okay, we're going to come back to those.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Commissioners, do you have any other questions for on the plugging?
No, thank you.
Okay. Tina, thank you for your update. Appreciate it. We had, that was the, with regard to the outreach, the pre-approval applications, and the plugging. Anything else in any of those areas that we need to talk about?
Chairman Thorwald, this is Wendy Flood. You still need to deal with item 3C, which is Form 9s that need to be approved, and then just the review of 3D as well.
Okay, very good. Who's covering us on 3C?
So we have 2 applications to abandon, and we have Tetra Tech on the call.
This is
Tetra
Commissioner
Tech.
Ballard. I've taken a look at both of these plans, and they look fine. First one, I don't know if the commissioners noticed that it's from 1905. So good luck on that one. That's an incredibly ancient well. Fortunately, it's not too deep. And the other one is a deep hole, and it'll be a challenge, but I will compliment you on the picking of the tops of the Coconino. So that well has a very good log. The 0061, the Lydia Johnson's a kind of a classic well in the area down near the Holbrook Anticline. And so appreciate that. It has a very good log, it has an Amstrat log, which is one of the best available. So you know where the Coconino is. Hopefully you can get down there and take care of it. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions, discussion? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
Well, this is Commissioner Ballard. I move we accept these 2 Form 9s to proceed with a plug and abandon.
Do we have a second?
Aye, Robbins, second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries. C is approved. Moving on to D.
So we also have 2 Form 10s. They're also Tetra Techs. And Tetra Tech is on the line. This is Tina LePage with ADEQ.
Commissioner, do you have any questions for Tina LePage or Tetra Tech?
Well, Mr. Chairman, this is Commissioner Ballard once again. I have read these forms in detail. Well done with the photographic record and the documentation. I really pretty much particularly want to compliment the job on the 20034 well, the last one. Got all the way down to 3,200 feet, which is very uncommon among these old relic wells and the program that we've had so far. So just want to say a particular well done on that one. The well's down south of Yuma, so I'm sure they'll all appreciate it down there that we got it fixed. Thank you.
Commissioners, any other comments or questions, any discussion? Do we have an motion?
Yeah.
Well, if everybody's had a chance to look, this is Commissioner Ballard again, and I will move that we accept these 2 Form 10s documenting the procedures done on these wells.
Do we have a second?
This is Conway, second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. We'll move on to item 4 on the agenda, the chairman's report. In each of the A, B, C, and D, I have nothing to report. They're all, or A, B, and C, nothing to report on any of those 3. We'll put that off till our next meeting on the 19th of next month. Things are still in the works. and up in the air, so there's nothing really to provide any information on. Any questions about any one of those? Then let's move on to 4D, geologic resources for injection potential and synergies in Arizona, Part 3, with Brian Goatee. Brian, welcome.
Thank you, Chairman Thorwald. Happy to be back. Great. Feel free to stop and ask questions anytime. Otherwise, I'm happy to be here and present Part 3. Formerly, we did present Parts 1 and 2 on gas storage, CO2 or carbon capture, utilization, and storage opportunities, and geothermal potential. The reason this Part 3 is kind of tied with those other two is because they kind of occupy the same domain, or at least the same space. And so when the Geological Survey thinks of these, we see them sort of intertwined together in many aspects. So I'd like to present a few updates on the subsurface viewer and start with that, and then what the existing oil and gas landscape looks like. And again, as a geological survey, when we think of oil and gas potential, we also think of the data gaps and how to fill those to more carefully characterize the potential. And again, back to the Parts 1 and 2, like what are these synergistic and proximal added benefits that come along with oil and gas exploration? Okay, thank you, Wendy. Can you advance the next?
Yeah, Brian, this is Wendy Flood. Did you want this in? I just have your PDF. I know you made a comment about wanting to get on the web viewer. Do you still want to do that?
No, I think this will be fine.
Okay.
But if anyone has questions and wants to expand on the subsurface viewer is needed live, then I'll choose that option.
Okay, just let us know, and Angela or I will get you the presenting rights. But okay, this is your PDF. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so the viewer, we've made a few updates, and even actually since this PDF was made, I've made a few additional updates that weren't worthy of sharing right now. But we did include stratigraphic well logs for about, I think, 900 or 880 some wells in the oil and gas collection that have stratigraphic tops and bottoms. And so we used a new tool that we built at AZGS to develop this. And so we wanted to texture it as well with the appropriate lithologies that are primarily associated with that formation. And of course, the USGS stratigraphic nomenclature colors that come along with that. And so that little pop-up or snippet on the left shows just one example with an elevation top and of course the total depth. If it was unknown, then we would list that as a different color. So there's a lot of room for improvement here because there's some quality assurance, quality control needed on the oil and gas data side. And so I think we have a long future ahead of us of just QA/QCing this data set to improve it. We also released the core repository that we do have possession of. We don't have all of the core that we used to have, but we have about 30% of what we originally had prior to our transfer. Was there a question?
Well, I have a couple questions if it's a good time to interject. I know it's a viewer and not supposed to be a workstation kind of software package, but is it possible to bring up more than one stratigraphic well log at a time, kind of like as a simple cross-section builder?
Yeah, yes, I admire that line of thinking because I would love to do that. The viewer doesn't really have that capability to build cross sections yet, but we will continue to push this to its limits. And we have the ability to pull up cross sections that are already made, and we've done that in a few places, but you have the ability to build a topographic profile, and it does plot and that's shown in the quick start guide in the top right. It tells you how to build a profile, and it plots the oil and gas wells along that profile, along with any structures like faults or folds along that profile as well. So it's like a pseudo cross-section, but it doesn't plop the JPEG on the profile. So that when you click on it, it'll pull up this JPEG that you see in the center of the screen, and it opens it as a separate tab, and you save that as a flat image. One of the things that we want to just be careful of is that our intention is to provide not only just a new way of looking at the data, but also sort of the multiple user face approach where you can, and I've been doing this all week, like off and on. I could pull up a strat log, the core collection, the oil and gas well log within a few minutes. I can have all of those at my fingertips. And that was kind of the purpose of building this, was to just get not only access, which you already provide, but also just the speed of access of acquiring a lot of data in a short amount of time. What's not, this map on the background that's kind of dithered is, since then I've actually found a way to plot the fold, anticline, syncline, and monocline patterns on those folds. So now it tells you, oh, this is a doubly plunging anticline, so it's a dome, or it's a plunging syncline. Now, most people don't know what that is, but that's okay. That's what we provide these data sets. It has some explanation that goes with it. So there's been some minor functionality updates since this was made. In the future, we do continue to plot things like the formation contour maps, the isopac or thickness maps of each of the formations, right, from the Cambrian up to the surface formations. We've built a filter into the subsurface viewer to allow you to say, I want an oil and gas well that was done for oil and gas exploration. And then it will filter just those wells. And then you say, okay, now that you've done that, can you point all the geothermal wells that were flagged for a geothermal permit? And then it selects just those out of that collection. So that filter exists on the viewer currently, but it didn't really show you the oil and gas seeps or showings that were reported by Steve Rousey. And so that's going to have to be a separate effort to show the location of oil and gas showings. I think that's important to have, so we have that on our flag to pull up. We have a cuttings repository in Phoenix and in Tucson. I'd like to see that come online as a layer as well. And then, of course, there's hundreds of cross sections that we'd like to see integrated into the viewer, and stratigraphic columns. I want to make sure that each part of the state is compartmentalized, so we have a full coverage of stratigraphic columns that are representative. And then, of course, domes and uplifts, metamorphic core complexes, epithermal deposits, and many other layers. So that's what we'd like to work on in the next year. Great, thank you, Wendy. Okay, so on to oil and gas. In terms of like the current landscape, I just thought that it would be nice to plot this map on the right that shows in red the natural gas pipelines, and blue there's two petroleum pipelines, and essentially or effectively Arizona imports all of its natural oil and gas into the state. So is there potential for oil and gas? Yes. Is there the need for having some expansion of existing resources? I would probably argue yes for that.
Brian,
yes.
Two quick questions. How many miles of pipeline are there, and what size are those pipes?
They range from, I think, 8-inch to 48 inches, but I don't have the total distance. I think it's in the metadata, so as you click on that in the subsurface area, it should tell you, but you'd have to add it up in the table. So each of these layers has a table, so you should be able to pull it up. It'd be nice to just say that up front when you click on it. It's like, hey, this is one of a number of lines totaling this many miles.
Are they all underground or on surface? Just out of curiosity.
I don't know. All the ones I know of are underground. Yeah.
Thank you.
So I'll actually take a note of that. I think these are great questions because that just tells me that if you're interested in it, someone else will be. And I'd like to see those changes get made, Chairman Thorwald. And if this group doesn't already know, SRP has announced that they plan to convert the 2 coal-fired power plants shown on the right center at St. John's and Springerville stations to natural gas. So they'll need to build pipelines for that. And so that is a planned activity. That's another reason why I think Arizona should consider expanding on oil and gas exploration to meet that corner of the state's needs. And I don't know, of course, with UIC primacy and any kind of pending legislation on pore space, I think that you can also make the argument that any kind of exploration would be beneficial when we're exploring these other aspects of pore space management. Okay, next slide. Good, thank you. So in terms of like the source rocks for oil and gas, I mean, Dell Nations and or Commissioner Nations and Steve Rousey have published these maps and cited them and pointed to them over the years, which is great. And I don't really expand to or plan to go into each of the basins like Chairman Nations did. I think he did a great job and highlighted like, yeah, there are showings, there's a reason or a need to validate past showings. So, but I did incorporate these particular basins into the subsurface viewer. We have Cenozoic basins. We've got almost 100 of those. And then we've got a number of Mesozoic basins in green and Paleozoic basins in blue, Neoproterozoic basins in pink. And I didn't even try to plot the Paleoproterozoic basins because they're statewide and they're chopped up in pieces, so it's really hard to show those. So I wanted to make sure those were in the viewer as well. And then, of course, the oil and gas well collection as it is today is shown as red points. And so we do plan to show the oil and gas showings and seeps in a future layer. But one question is why we have production in the northern part of the state, but why not in Bisbee and Pedregosa and other basins? And so I thought I would start with kind of focusing on the Paradox Basin as an example and a proxy to what exploration could look like into those other very similar basins to the south and the west that have gone through similar thermal histories. So let's just jump into that. Next slide, please. Okay, so in the northeastern corner of the state, the map on the right just shows a pluck from the subsurface viewer. Again, I fixed those solid lines are now annotated appropriately for plunging synclines and anticlines, and so that's nice to have. But this is slightly older than this PDF. As a geological survey, we're kind of handicapped, compared to like the private sector, right? Because I would assume that the exploration that has gone into the Paradox is supplemented with a lot of private data that we just don't have access to. So when someone asks us, well, what is the oil and gas potential? I'm like, well, I don't work in the Paradox space, so I don't really know. I can read reports and public announcements, but that doesn't really give us the full picture. So rather than try and sort of dive through that arena, I'm just going to say that, hey, publicly available data sets for the Paradox Basin, in terms of like data sets that you'd want for any kind of exploratory effort that I'll expand on later in the next couple slides, would have to have geologic mapping, right? And so the best geologic maps that exist in this region are 1 to 125,000 scale. They're not bad, but they could certainly be improved. And especially when it comes to structural geology, they can very much be improved. There's a smattering of oil and gas penetrations and strat well logs shown on the legend on the right in the map. And these are great, but you could probably densify it in some areas. And then, of course, in terms of gravity and aeromag, again, back to the publicly available data sets, I assume they've been filled in, but gravity is no better than 1 data point per square mile. And that's the same for aeromag. So the granularity of those two data sets could certainly be improved. And when it comes to filling in the gaps, this is what, we don't only just curate data and manage it for legacy purposes, we also collect and fill the data gaps for things other than oil and gas mostly. But we would argue for any kind of additional geologic mapping to really define the structural geology, at least for the migratory pathways that I think are really not that well understood. When you think of helium and hydrogen and nitrogen pathways and the source rocks and the trapping mechanisms, you need structural geology for that. And that's a first order item. So we would always propose additional geologic mapping. No 24K quads in this area, which is crazy. And then, of course, high resolution aeromag and gravity. There's a need for that. No publicly or even third-party brokers have identified seismic in this region. I would doubt that. I imagine there would be seismic data, but we're just not aware of it. In any case, passive seismic is relatively new. That's really good for getting through some of these rock types that are in this region, whereas active seismic just doesn't work. Magnetotellurics and radiometrics are a couple other data sets that we would argue for as well. Again, nothing on the public record. And all of this would be towards de-risking strat test wells for penetrations to validate the source or the resource. Okay, next slide. On data collection and data gaps, again, that would be the sort of the superficial approach to de-risking and doing feasibility work. But on the subsurface side, there's also a number of data gaps based around penetrations. So the map on the right just shows an example from the subsurface viewer. We just pulled up one of the 201-20-188, and one of the producing units, the Hermosa Formation, the Pennsylvania unit, I wanted to highlight on this thermal burial chart in the center. So if you can't see the vertical axis is depth from 0 to 16,000 feet and time from 600 million years on the left to the present on the right. And so you have deposition at the surface in the Mississippi and Pennsylvania around 300 million years, and then you bury it and you sort of hold it there and you bury it again multiple times until it passes the 100C mark, where oil production and gas production begin to occur and dissolve and disseminate through pathways and traps. And that includes helium and other gases as well as they pass through that thermal window. Because these rocks do have uranium and thorium, you're going to produce not only helium and byproducts of that decay in the rocks as well, you also have a lot of geology underneath this envelope that are within the maturation curve. And so you're going to get another component of gas migration through the basement up into these rocks as well. So in terms of filling these data gaps, I think the industry like Desert Mountain and others really show that, oh yeah, you can really do quite a bit of work with borehole geophysics. And then you can also do quite a bit of core work as well. At least in the core repository we have right now, none of the cores that we have are from this corner of the state. So I don't know where those are. Unfortunately, we're all too familiar with core that just gets discarded and thrown away. So I think that there's a case to be made for legacy core and cuttings preservation. We still get people calling in to sample this stuff for things like geothermometry, determine mechanical integrities, coefficients for heat flow, all kinds of really good stuff that you can use physical settings for. So we identified as a data gap, and I think that's worth just mentioning when we talk about potential. Okay, next slide, please. And last slide, I just wanted to pull up an old diagram that I didn't have time to really produce one uniquely for this call, but we have this generalized cross-section for the plateau where we see all kinds of source rocks and the underlying bedrock and penetrations that are accompany all kinds of pore space. So when it comes to the UIC classification and management of the pore space through injection and extraction, these are just some examples, right? So it's kind of hard to see, but pausing and zooming in later can be an option. I just wanted to point out that when it comes to exploration, there are added benefits that come with that. And I think that approximately, when you're exploring for oil and gas, you're also evaluating high uranium thorium rocks. And so we have all of those rocks, the sedimentary rocks that produce decay, material, igneous, metamorphic, mafic, ultramafic rocks. All of those exist in the plateau in this corner of the state. So, and I think that the industry is pretty really well aware of that, right? The hydrogen, the nitrogen, ammonia, and CO2, and helium, these other byproducts that come with oil and gas production are also present. And so I think that that's oil and gas is great, but there's other things that can come along with that. And of course, the geothermal source rocks and their histories as they pass through those maturation windows is really key. And then the added benefits that come with that would be that we would like to, I think any kind of characterization of the pore space for dual use, like disposal of brine and produced water, is key. Mineralization through in mafic and ultramafic rocks, those are highly alkaline and reactive. And so that's an added benefit. That's being done in other parts of the world. It does work. Critical minerals and rare earth minerals, that's another added benefit. And of course, gas storage, embedded salt. And along the same lines, as you penetrate through salts, you penetrate through our water resources. And I think identifying the bottom of however we define the U.S. drinking water standard, just knowing what the boundaries of our drinking water systems is always an added benefit as well. So with that, that finishes my talk for today.
Brian, this is a question for
Go ahead, Commissioner Nations.
On that cross section that was just on the screen.
Yes, sir.
What bothers me is not having the Devonian and the Mississippian labeled. And that's one of our primary reservoirs at the present time, and there's still potential there.
Yes, agreed. I think this cross section doesn't do justice to the Paradox Basin, and it should. I think here we tried to capture the St. John's to the Mogollon Rim.
I see.
And so I think, if we had some extra time, I'd like to see this. We do have cross sections that John Spencer and Steve.
So the cross section really doesn't cross Mississippian and Devonian rocks.
Correct.
That's where they're not present. Okay, I understand.
Yeah, good point. And this doesn't capture structural geology, really. It's just diagrammatic.
Yeah.
Ryan, this is Mike Conway. Thanks for a great presentation. That was very informative.
It really was. I agree.
Yes, I agree as well. Any questions for Brian? Shale potential in the state.
That's a good question. I think, the Chuar group is probably, I'm thinking of the plateau in terms of shales. I mean, there are shales in the Chuar group. And if you noticed on Steve Rousey's map, the extent of the Chuar Basin was really small. But others, including known penetrations out of the Grand Canyon into the plateau, extend the Chuar group to a much more extensive area. And of course, it is rifted and faulted and isolated. So I think in terms of Neoproterozoic or Proterozoic shales, there's more potential in the subsurface for those. And I think we do see, at least in rare cases, we do see those pockets in seismic. But what we don't know is if they're actually Neoproterozoic. We know that they're Precambrian, so there probably are. But in terms of shale potential, I couldn't tell you.
Are they large enough to have production out of them? If they are, it would meet all the requirements.
Yes, yeah, I would argue that would definitely be the case. I think I'd love if industry and others had some sort of weigh in on this, but shale is just really it commonly has a lot of uranium bearing minerals in them, and so I think they've certainly been pushed into that thermal envelope and released any kind of decay products. So I think a lot of the hydrogen and helium we do see a certain percentage of that's not coming from basement, and well, take that back. I'd say a percentage of those gases are sourced from not just basement and young volcanism, but also these Proterozoic and Paleozoic sedimentary rocks as well.
Commissioner Nation's question here.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Brian, what's your personal thought about the Mancos, the potential shale potential in the Mancos as it is in Colorado and New Mexico?
I think that's exactly what I was. That's a great example of what I think would be a good source for those gases. I'm trying to think of areas where, most of the Mancos I think was buried at those depths, but I don't know how extensive that is.
Yeah. Yeah, it certainly was after deposition was buried in the laramide basins. So it is potential that's was deep enough to be heated and gas generated. But I'm not saying that is a source for Arizona because it's such a small area extent.
Right. Right. It does have some extent, and I mean, it could be engineered. That's a possibility, but I probably should not have even said that because I don't really know.
Any other questions for Mr. Goatee? Hearing none, then let us move on to item 5 on the agenda, call to the public. Is there anybody in the public that would like to address the commission? Hearing none, let us move on to agenda item 6, a request for future agenda items. Commissioners, is there anything you want to see on the agenda in the future?
Well, Commissioner Ballard, if Brian has another talk, we'd be glad to see that.
More Brian.
Well, Brian, you're on the spot.
Oh,
are you asking me for a proposal?
We'll have to give him a break.
I'm guessing he already has one in his back pocket.
Yeah.
Well, Brian, come back to us. We love your presentations.
Oh gosh. Well, thank you. That means a lot. I at the very least we'll have a lot more updates on the subsurface viewer that I look forward to, and I would welcome any kind of feedback. So.
Fantastic.
Chairman Thorwald, do you want to go over the meeting that was sent out for the 19th?
Yes, let's do that.
Okay, so why don't you go over like what that agenda looks like and the purpose of that meeting?
The meeting for the 19th is to go over final rule changes and statutes, and that's the whole purpose of that meeting. The governor's office, we have talked, and they have promised to get us their opinions and thoughts to us prior to that meeting so that we can move forward for this next session next year. Any questions about that? Does the 19th work for everybody?
Yeah, this is Wendy Flood. I did send out hold appointments to all the commissioners, so they should have received those. So yeah, that's a good question if that date is going to work.
Okay. Any other announcements besides that one? Thank you all for attending today, and thank you for that presentation, Brian. It is 11:06, and this meeting of the Arizona Oil and Gas Conservation Commission is concluded. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. You as well.
Thank you.
Goodbye.